So, the kind of bias you have is bias of omission. I find that some of the things you say and some of the things you claim, you conveniently omit facts that would put some of the actions made by our government in, let's say, a more understandable context. But you're not interested in portraying the facts or trying to gain some sort of understanding in what the intent is or what they're trying to do. You're just trying to paint the opposition as being unreasonable, so therefore you're leaving out any facts that could potentially make the actions of the left seem reasonable. Okay? That's what you're doing. All right? So I'm going to counter by adding a few facts that you have conveniently left out. All right? First of all, with the EPA declaring that CO2 is a hazard to human health, that is because global warming represents heat waves, rising oceans, and the rise of infectious diseases. All those things are valid conclusions that the scientific community has come to. Okay, the fact that there may be short-term variations due to solar activity does not negate the long-term effects of CO2. So we've got more CO2 in our atmosphere than we have for the past 650,000 years. Okay, we are at such a highly elevated level of carbon dioxide. We're not quite sure what to expect, but a lot of the climate models that we've had, frankly, have underestimated how fast the ice was going to melt. All right, so we may be still lowballing here. We really don't have a firm understanding of how serious an impact all the CO2 is going to have. All right, and current estimates have fallen short of reality. Okay, so the fact that there's short-term cyclical variations in solar activity does not negate the fact that we've got a long-term CO2 forcing factor that we have to concern ourselves with. All right, and it does impact human health. All right. As far as right-wing extremists and the Department of Homeland Security saying that veterans returning home from Iraq were particularly vulnerable, well, it's no secret that a lot of these right-wing organizations are targeting veterans coming back from Iraq, all right? And they are particularly vulnerable. A lot of them will be suffering from post-traumatic stress syndrome, all right? So they are vulnerable. We're not labeling every veteran coming back from Iraq as a right-wing terrorist. That would be absolutely ridiculous. What we're saying is that they, number one, they are particularly vulnerable, and number two, they are being targeted by these right-wing organizations. It's a area of concern, okay? That's it. To take offense at it just shows, let's say, how easily offended you are by the idea, right? Teabag jokes, get used to jokes, pal, get used to jokes. This ties in very nicely with the whole thing with Garofalo and being racist and everything. It would be a lot easier to discount the idea that a large number of the people who attended these teabag rallies were racist if we didn't have people like Rush Limbaugh playing Barack the Magic Negro soundtracks, okay? Now, and claiming that he's not fully African American, he's not black enough, you brought it all on yourself. The kind of humor that's been coming out of the right, frankly, has not been very appropriate either, okay? If you don't want people making jokes about you, perhaps you shouldn't make jokes about the left, okay? Get used to it, because you're not going to stop people from making jokes, and if you don't like it, too bad, Anyways, you might want to try inserting a few more facts, if that is, unless you enjoy presenting your biased views, all right? And presenting the bias through the act of omission. So that's all.